Nyla, welcome to my podcast, Fractured but Fearless.
I am so excited to be here. And I want to tell you what a lovely book. It's available on audiobook, guys, if you want to listen to it. And I really enjoyed it. I learned a few things. I'm so interested in you. I know this podcast, I'm here for that.
This podcast is about you. This podcast is about you.
But really a good read, and I was really happy to listen to it.
Thank you so much, Nyla. So Nyla Hazratjee is a woman of many talents, I would say, different facets. And I've always been intrigued by various things that you do. So Nyla is, apart from being a gastroenterologist, a physician, but her identity has been divided into different facets. I think one facet is, of course, the storytelling.
Yeah.
That the Nyla Productions, you have made various movies,
Yes.
From the Persian version to the School Duel,
Yep.
and then your latest short, the American Fabric.
Yeah.
So I find this very interesting, the various things that you do, and you do it so well.
Thank you.
Other than being a mother of two, other than being on different shows, different projects that you're doing, this is not something which a lot of people do simultaneously.
I know it's true, but it's a pathology. People are like, I'm sure you get it too, Dr. Ali, all the time. Oh, but how do you do so much? When do you sleep? It's like, I tell people I sleep midnight to 4 is when the work is done, you know?
Right.
And I also like to tell people that this is not for everyone. This is a pathology. I'm a workaholic. I get it from the Hazratjee genes, okay? My dad was like that. There's a excessive level of creativity. That monster has to be fed to a certain extent.
Right.
I hear that from people, and you know, the truth is I feel like I am not doing enough. I constantly feel like I should be doing more. I should be more productive. I'm wasting so much time. And I also know that's not true. Okay. But at the same time, I have come to understand that this is not something I want to change about myself.
Right.
I feel like it's a strength.
Right.
And I want to do as much as I can in this world and then be done.
Right.
You know, so that's really my philosophy on that. We'll sleep when we die.
Right.
And until then, let's be as productive as possible.
So I say the same thing. Life is short, and you have to. The only thing that you have is now.
Yeah.
Right. The future is to be.
Yep.
You always are trying to catch up. Past is gone, and the only thing that you have is today. And I think that we need to do the best we can. Now, Nyla, you have, you are a Muslim, American Muslim,
Yep.
Pakistani, physician, movie maker, a woman in this field. I mean, that's a lot. You know, I mean, you have to. I just wonder sometimes that the amount of maybe the biases that you have to go. Not just from within the industry that you are in, whether it is medicine, whether it is filmmaking.
Sure.
But also within the subset of culture that that you are in, right?
Yeah.
You do not really fit in just one facet.
That's a word that you'll hear in so many different interviews and things I say. I really believe it, that I am a multifaceted person. And I think a lot of times what happens is people are like, oh, you probably don't want to be a doctor. You wish you were a filmmaker, or you wish you were traveling all the time, and you wish you weren't a mom. And it's like, no, actually, I like all of those aspects of myself, and all of them, like a multifaceted die. I don't know if you ever played Dungeons and Dragons, but you have like you have like 20 facet dies, and I think I'm one of those. I think that all of those things make me who I am, and lucky for me, all of those different experiences also inform my filmmaking and my storytelling, because I have not been anybody who has ever fit into one group, one niche. I have always been someone who floats through different niches, and I can fit into a lot of different places. And I love that part of myself because it allows me so many different perspectives. Like in your book, you know, you talk about the different shades of gray.
Yep.
And I think my spectrum of gray is really, really
Wide.
gray. There's a lot of gray in there. And I always think it's interesting to look at the different facets of people. And being a physician also informs all of the different types of people that we see. We come, doctors are kind of boxy. They're kind of boring and stuff like that, people say, But if you just look a little bit further than the surface, you may find some really, really interesting, curious people like yourself, like myself, and like so many people that we know as well.
One of the main reasons I wanted you to come here today is I feel a little kinship concerning the different variety of things you and I both do.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. I
that
agree.
People want to put you in a box, right? But you can, you can choose if you want to be in that box, or you get the satisfaction from doing multiple things at the same time. So one question which I always ask everybody, what keeps you going? What is the purpose that you feel that you do what you are doing? It is not just for notoriety. It is not just for just primary gain, but there is a purpose behind, right?
And I've thought about it a lot. There's a part of your book you talk about imposter syndrome. And I think as a woman, I think we're always working through imposter syndrome, whether it's being in medicine or even more male-dominated field like gastroenterology, where it's like 70-30. Okay, it's whether it's playing basketball in Pakistan, you know what I mean, or being a very assertive woman in a Muslim culture, right? All of those things are different, and many of those things give you that feeling of imposter syndrome. But I think women are very good at like dealing with that because of the fact that we probably are doing it all the time in a very natural way. Definitely, I feel like I have never been in a situation where I didn't belong. I've never been in a room where I didn't feel equal to every single person in the room. I know that's just me. It's probably unrealistic, but I think that ultimately, as a woman, my whole goal is actually very selfish in a way because I want to be understood. And I am a very complicated person. And I see a lot of those same characters in the people that I know and the friends that I make. And I like intimacy and I like to learn about people. So I get to learn about people too because of my curiosity. And then you say, oh, actually, everybody is multifaceted. I always tell the story about when I started film. I am a socialite. Okay. I'm a doctor, but I'm also a doctor wife. Right. So I get to be in all those groups. And, I've never had a huge Pakistani social circle, but I do now. Right. And when I started, and people like to tell me their secrets for whatever reason, I'm a non-judgmental person. And somebody said, hey, you know what? I drink sometimes, but don't tell so-and-so because they're going to judge me. And then a few weeks later, I was with so-and-so, and so-and-so said, hey, sometimes I have a glass of wine. Don't tell anybody. I said, oh my gosh, if these people could just be honest and more comfortable in their vulnerability, they could understand that they're so much more like each other than they really are. And in our culture, there's so much of that. So for me, my goal is to explain myself. And the way for me to do that is to show everybody else that in our multifacets, in our imperfections, is our humanity. And as an American, I feel the same way. In the Muslim community, we're like very professional, we try to keep things on a very high level, and we don't want people to think, that we're anything bad about us. Right. But the truth is, that is what makes you human. And in your vulnerability is a generalizability of humanity. And I really want to get the Muslim woman undressed in her personal
Now
world.
That's a strong statement.
It is.
That's a strong statement.
I always say that. And part of the stories that I write, of course, they come from my own background and my own experience as well. But I really do want to show that, Muslim women are actually very well-rounded.
Yeah.
We're not just pedestaled.
Yeah.
We don't need to be saved all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes we do.
Don't need to be told every time.
And we can hold our own.
Yeah.
And we are a full whole being that makes mistakes, that has desire, that has struggle, and does bad stuff sometimes.
As human as everybody else.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I feel that sometimes because of the constraints of the society, upbringing, culture, that we are afraid to express ourselves. And at the same time, we pretend to be who we are not.
Of course.
Right? And just because you want to get approval from somebody, you want to make sure that you want to prove to somebody you fit in. We just forget being ourselves.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. Of course, let's not preach like a chaotic society. All of those things have their own benefit too, like whether it's our religion or our society, all those limitations. Those restrictions are important in order for order.
Right.
But we must find our own space within that space.
Correct.
Right? I would say, well, I don't want to be in a cage, but I don't want to be a wild tiger in the jungle either. But wouldn't it be nice if I had a bigger habitat? And if we can just kick the cage a little bit further, we might really be benefiting a lot of people.
The first step is always, and it takes a lot, even for me, it took a long time to figure it out, who I am, right? It's the self-awareness, good and bad both, not just good or aspirational, but the ebbs and flows, even in my life, I think it takes a lot for you to understand yourself. Once you do, I think you're more confident without really hurting anybody's feeling. I mean, sometimes people say that you're more assertive, but it doesn't mean that you need to hurt somebody. As long as you understand who you are, then you work accordingly. I think that unapologetically yourself.
Yeah. Assertive doesn't have to mean aggressive.
Right.
And having boundaries is also creating respect.
Right.
I think that in our world, we should try and figure out where is that creativity. And sometimes people do feel so boxed in and so caged in that it's painful. That's something that nobody should have to feel.
So I'll come back to, I think that this is another thing that, for you, your art is, whether it is film or storytelling. I was watching your TEDx earlier this morning again. And, you start talking about being a diamond in a rough. And then you talked about storytelling. Talk to me a little bit more about that. Why? I mean, this is not a very common medium people take. It is a very difficult medium
that
hard. You are in, right? And then the stories that you're telling, I watched your movie, Persian version, for the second time. And the stories that you have are not run of the mill. They're different. They could be, provocative to certain people, but they could be reassuring to a lot of people too. So, talk to me a little bit about your storytelling.
It's so crazy because it's something that I'm in this small little niche, but it's a very difficult place. Now, as a filmmaker, it's production, right? So your art then has to become a reality. And in order to do that, you have to work with about 100 different types of people and in different phases of that production in order to make that film actually something that somebody can watch. Complicated. Dealing with a lot of different types of characters, right? Very much like running a business. And then we need money, right? Films need money. And finding funding is hard because, especially for us, I am I'm a hijabi. Okay? I am but the most alternative lifestyle liberal person that I know, hands down. The Muslims want me to portray all of the Muslims in a certain way. Let the woman be perfect.
Yep.
Let the Muslim man be perfect.
Right.
Don't show them doing anything bad,
Right.
which is not reality.
Right. And bad is relative too.
Bad, sure.
Bad
And
is relative,
that's right,
right?
yeah.
I mean, it is relative in certain ways and not so relative in the other ways. But please continue.
And so it's very hard to cater to what they really want. Hollywood would like us to give us the religion, but without the religion.
Yeah.
You know, give us the culture, the food, the fun. But what about people who are actually religious? And is that okay?
Right.
Is it okay to be conservative, or do we have to just show one aspect of that? So there's another struggle there about getting money and getting funding. And we have to figure out what is the medium between the two of that. I'll give you an example. American Fabric is a very simple story. It's not complicated. To me, there's nothing controversial about it. It's a girl who wants to wear hijab and a girl who wants to stop wearing hijab. And we see that throughout their day as they make that decision, all of their experiences are the same. Their families behave the same. Their friends behave the same, even though it's a very personal choice. Who cares? It's just hair. But people take so much interest and sort of ownership of your own ownership, right? It's not interesting or controversial or cool enough for Hollywood.
Yeah.
But the Muslims find it very offensive that a woman can take off her headscarf and still be a good person.
Right.
They don't want to see that.
Right.
They only want to see her take her headscarf off if she's being manipulated or she's become too free.
Right.
It's shocking to me to see that kind of response from our own community, but it happens. And so ultimately, that teaches me you just got to do what you got to do. You know, whether or not you're trying to please this person or that person, you're not going to be able to please everybody.
I think that's something I firmly believe in too, because sometimes we're just trying to live our life so that everybody else can be happy with you.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And that ends up you not being happy with yourself.
And they not being happy with you most of the time, you know?
Yeah, and most of the people are not always going to be happy with you regardless, right? But Nyla, I mean, how do you deal with disappointments? How do you deal with the people coming to you with the, I'm sure they have something to say sometimes, right? And then, maybe like sometimes people come to me and for the majority of my life, I was not really much about. I didn't want to talk too much about my writing or my paintings and all of those things because I wanted people to take me serious just as a doctor, right? But everything else that I do was also part of me, but I was not very clear or free to talk about those things.
Yeah.
In your scenario, yours is even more difficult because you are taking a certain stand, right? So you're taking a certain stand about identities, about cultural norms, and then you are being a rebel. You're just going against the grain. So how does it feel? How do you take it? How do you manage these things?
Okay, I'll tell you a story. I have a pilot which is in development right now. It's about a hijabi physician who ends up having a torrid affair. Okay. One, let me explain this to my husband. That's a tough one, but luckily I'm married to a man who's very creative himself and although extremely conservative, understands what I'm doing. But how do I explain it to my mother-in-law?
Yeah, you can't.
But I did. I said, Auntie, I'm writing this story and I'm going to go and try and sell it in Hollywood. It's kind of like Sex and the City, but for Muslim people. And to my surprise, and this is probably why my husband is who he is, my mother-in-law, although she's from the old world, is a very, very strong woman within her space. And she said to me, and I'll say it in Urdu, she said, "Hamari naak na katwana aur ek season sirf mile." Okay, which is like, please don't embarrass us. That's the first part. So then you're like, what's going to happen next? And just get one season, which is incredible and supportive. You'll be surprised, I think, where you find support. I went to just chit chat with some young people at a coffee shop. And I said, well, here's my story. This is the story. What do you think? And they said, you're going to get Salman Rushdie.
So that's one of the fears. Right, that you're doing something and a fatwa comes in and now you are afraid of your life.
And I said, all publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, no. Well, that's one way of looking at it.
It's
But that's the
scary.
culture, that's the scary culture that we live in,
Yeah.
that somebody can just decide one day that, hey, what you're doing is, start, talking about being an infidel, and
Yeah.
here you are. So,
Those are
my
real
point is that takes a
consequences.
lot of courage,
Yeah, those
right?
are
I
all real
mean,
consequences. Dr.
right,
Ali, you do. And
right,
let's pull it back
right,
to even closer personal
right,
consequences.
right,
I'm a physician.
right,
What happens if people start seeing me saying things which are controversial?
right,
How does that affect the hospital that I
right,
work in?
right,
What do they think about it? Will I be promoted? Etc. Right?
right,
And all of those things are really important. What will my family think?
yeah,
Will I be able to stay married as a woman who's trying to do something very different in
right,
this world? Those are all questions that you think about, and
yeah,
then you decide whether the risk is worth it. Right, Dr. Ali? You
yeah,
say, okay,
yeah,
am I going to do it or
yeah.
am I not going to do it?
I think that it takes a lot of courage, I feel, to go against the grain, right? I mean, it's so much easier just following everybody else. But I think that once you believe in certain thing, I think it's important to talk. I think there's a cost to it for sure.
Sure.
There is a cost to it. And I think that as long as you understand the cost involved with whatever you are working on, it goes a long way.
In medicine, we say risk-benefit analysis.
And if not,
And
100%.
I think we have to do that with
Yeah,
all of those
you sign the
choices.
consent and you move forward, right? You pick up different stories,
Yeah.
right? Your stories are not just plain romance, not just struggles, not just philosophy, but you choose different stories. Why?
Those are the characters I like to see on TV. I like a character that is complicated. I don't really believe in black and white, and I don't think that when you have a character like that, it's very entertaining, frankly, to an intelligent mind. And I think you pick your audience first. Am I playing to the crowd? I have some films that are more commercial like that, but am I playing to that crowd or am I trying to tell a deeper story for a deeper crowd? And I think that I am always trying to tell a story that I want to watch, that I am interested in. I want those characters to be complicated enough that two people, a husband and a wife who are sitting and watching a show, will love and hate those characters at different times and may spark a discussion, might move the needle forward, might change the attitude of somebody or another. And I think that's ultimately a character that can be complicated.
You talk about change. Whenever, whatever you are doing, right, especially the storytelling part of it, you expect somebody to change, maybe a positive change after witnessing the story or going through the story. But does anything change with you? When you're
Yeah.
doing a project, that you find something new,
Yeah.
something different about what you are,
Yeah.
what you experience yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. All the time. And not just during the actual creation of a project, but getting into this career as a second career. That in itself was personality changing, right? Where you say, okay, am I really going to do this? That's a huge step. So many people have an idea, have a desire, and they don't go after it, which is so unfortunate. But those are the ones that make the difference, you know? And so for me, I think it was about owning my creativity. There was a point in my life I said, okay, I'm a doctor, I'm a wife, I have some children, I'm a mom. Is that it? And then I remembered I had put a bunch of things back on the shelf some time ago because I would get to them later. And life takes you on this journey and you say, okay, I'm going to get to them later. I don't have time.
You never get time unless you think about
Then
it.
you say, okay, I think I better take those things off the shelf and see what's still there. Can I even still do it? Do I still have the passion to write, to be creative, have the drive to do these things? It's scary. And I think when you go through that process, wherever you come out, it teaches you something about yourself. And I think that's probably one of the most valuable things about doing something like this.
I think you're quite natural. I've always admired the authenticity you have as a writer, as a filmmaker. I always admired. I think it is difficult. It is not easy to find courage like that.
Yeah,
and I think that is very commendable.
I wonder where it comes from. You talk about that in your book a lot, like, going back and spending some time and analyzing those things that it's funny, Dr. Ali, at this point in life, when you meet people now, all the things that have happened in your world, you go, oh, wow, Dr. Ali, you did that. And you just think about it sometimes yourself and you go, you don't know.
The crap which we have been through.
You don't know how I got here.
Right.
And all you see is now, what it is now. It's lovely now, But all of those things that help make us who we are and created us are so challenging. And it's important to be vulnerable, but it's sad because sometimes we don't get that chance anymore. We go through life and we're doing all these things and we're posturing and we're posing, but getting to have a conversation with somebody like we are right now is something that I think everybody should try to do at least once a month, once a week. Talk to somebody, see something else about them, ask them about their history. And if you can, you'll learn so much. I learned so much, and I have so many stories that people have told me, and I tell myself, that's a movie. One day that will be a movie.
It is what you're saying, the experiences. And I equate that to when I'm painting, right? So every brushstroke in vacuum doesn't mean anything. But when you add another brushstroke and another brushstroke, then it starts to make sense. It starts to tell you a story. Just like when you're writing or when you are working on your projects, every dialogue, adds up and becomes a story, right? I'm going to switch gears a little bit. I see parallels between medicine and art and writing.
Absolutely.
Right? I think that, how do you find parallels between the two?
I went to medical school in Pakistan, as you know. I was very American when I moved there. So that was, another one of these dichotomies that I have dealt with in my life. And we have this thing in Pakistan called Community Health Sciences, CHS, And we hate it. When you're in med school, you hate community health science. It's so annoying. And one of the things that we first did, I remember at the beginning of med school, maybe the first week of the first year, we did a group course, and it was called Why Did Farida Die? That was our case study. Why did Farida die? Okay. And I say Farida because I was very American. But now I know that it's Farida. But at that time I was like, why did Farida die? And the story is about the case that they gave us is about a baby who's born, and on the umbilical stump, due to rural practices, they put mud and honey. And that baby dies because they get Botox or botulinum toxin. Toxicity. And the question then is, why did baby Farida die? Did she die because of the botulinum toxin? Did she die because of cultural traditions? Did she die because of poor education? Did she die because she wasn't able to get the actual care that she needed after that? What is the answer? And the answer is all of those things, right? So we see system processes happening throughout our day, especially as physicians. In fact, as a mom, I think about things through a lens of a mother many times, especially when we have younger patients. A young Black man with very easily controllable inflammatory bowel disease, not getting controlled because insurance, right?
Farida, what did Farida die of?
Why did Farida die? Is this guy not getting his care?
Good analogy.
And those people are everywhere, and in all cultures and in all socioeconomic classes. This young Black boy would certainly have a very well-controlled life where this disease could be not even a part of his daily care. It could be so well controlled. But here we are, and many people who see that boy go, it's because he does drugs, or it's because he's Black, or all of those things that come with that. And that's a very young, good kid. I was like, that's like my son. I felt that way. And I wished that I could fix all of those issues. We can't do that.
No, you can't do that.
We are limited in our humanity, and I think that's also a hard thing to sometimes come to terms with is that we are still just an individual.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think those battles, because by the end of the day, you're dealing with the experiences, whether it is the history taking for a patient or the life story of a person, right? I mean, it all culminates to a single event eventually, right? So I think that those are important. The other thing is that I'm always been interested in the story which people are not telling.
Yeah.
Right. The dialogue, like I always say, is verbal, non-verbal, and then the inference, the things in between which are not said.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
As a storyteller, I think that you must be able to feel this more significantly more than others.
I definitely try to find the story.
Right.
And I think that there's a way to access that
Right.
if you are open to that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we're so busy in our lives in all the things that we do. And I mean, I do a lot of things,
Right.
but you have to just try to be open to hearing that understory, the what it is that's there beneath that, and spend some time looking. I don't think it takes very long. I think people think it takes longer than it takes, but I think that it doesn't. And if you just have an intention, you can probably find a deeper story without it actually affecting your workload, your life, and it will benefit you in so many ways.
How do you find a story? What is your process through it?
You listen.
Like I can tell you about how I design, when I decide to paint, when I decide to, I start working with a concept, okay, in my head, what it looks like, and then I start working on it. Or if I see some inspiration somewhere, right, I started adding different layers to it that, what may eventually look like. What is your process?
Sure. As a producer, I have to read a lot of scripts because people send them to me.
Of course.
And I have two different angles to that. One is as a logical physician, as as a person who has to deal with administration, and I say, is this story viable commercially? Will people like it? How can we make it? Is it about what is the budget really to make this story real? How can we make this a possibility? Number two, is this story relatable? Is it going to make somebody laugh, cry, feel, hate, any of those feelings? And if a story can make me feel like that, then I'll put it in a pile where I might consider it. Because if I read a story and I don't feel that, then that story is not going to necessarily make a lot of people feel. I consider myself a pretty good layman when it comes to movies and film and stories. Number one. When it comes to people, I do exactly what you did. So I have some questions for you, Dr. Ali, which I won't ask. But there are things we say out loud and things we don't say.
Yep.
And I think those are the things that make me curious. Because I think the ones that we don't say are probably the ones that make us who we are more than the ones that we do talk about. We never hear those stories.
No.
Except when you see them from a distance, where it's far removed enough to be safe. And that's where I think movies and storytelling comes in and can help create a conversation.
Do you ever struggle with a storyline that you want to tell?
For sure.
But you are afraid to tell?
100%. I think that happens to so many of us. I'll give you an example. That's an example that I'm willing to share.
Sure.
In the story, in the series that we're working on, it's about a hijabi doctor with some kids who gets bored and explores a different world. Who is that? Here she is, But because I can take artistic license, now I can play with that story and bring in all of these other women's stories and all of these other experiences that I've heard, not only women, but also Muslim men who struggle. There's a male character in the story, which is an African origin Muslim man. What are the struggles of the man the first generation man who has to now deal with his parents, his father, making this relationship work, but also living his true self. These are all such complicated stories that I am lucky to have heard so many of them. But what I was going to say is the mother-in-law.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. Now, by the way, let me start by saying
I hope she's not listening to this conversation.
Incredible mother-in-law. Okay, she's very
Are
much
you
like me.
are you creating a preface so that?
I'm not.
Okay. All right.
And I'm sure she knows me well enough to know I wouldn't. She's really a wonderful woman. I've been so blessed with my in-laws. They're really wonderful people, and they've expected and accepted me for all of my curiosities. You know. Which is actually commendable for a Muslim conservative family.
Right.
But I hear all kinds of stories from people, and I have my own set of stories too. No relationship is perfect, but walking a fine line is complicated.
Yeah.
And I think I remember I told my husband when I had first started doing this, I said, these are not real characters.
Right.
I can live vicariously through them if I want. And you can't tell me what to do because they're not real. And your mother-in-law can't, your mother can't, you know. And there is a certain freedom to creating a painting, to creating a story, where there's enough of a distance where you can feel comfortable telling your truth without hurting anybody else. And that's a special thing to have.
So now, how did you stumble in? This is not, it is not streamlined, right? To get into this business, right? I mean, talk to me about your journey into this, the being a producer and a storyteller. Talk to me about the journey.
So when I was in med school and in Pakistan,
and you were one of the top med schools back home.
I did. I went to Pakistani University, which is a great med school, and I'm so blessed to have had that experience, though it was extremely difficult because I was still an American with a huge culture shock going to Pakistan. While I was there, I learned so specifically how different I was, you know. But nevertheless, I'm tall, I'm fair, I'm pretty. I'll just say it, okay? And all of those things, and I'm American. So all of those things lent me to be in an elitist class without really belonging there. Another place that I probably didn't really belong. We did a play at school at AKU. It was a beautiful story based on some poetry by one of our very famous poets. And we went to a place to get our makeup done. I'll fast forward. They asked me if I wanted to model. I said, yeah, sure. So I started modeling, and I started doing some very large, actually, campaigns in Pakistan. And from there, I was asked to host some radio shows. So I became an RJ. Then I became a VJ, so a video host, like MTV was a big deal at that time. And then I started hosting other shows on TV for one of our big channels there called Hum TV. And I was a physician, so they put me on some cooking shows. I didn't cook, sorry, but I was a host and I had a chef with me, and we did sort of healthy lifestyle shows. They were very popular, so popular that I ended up on some of the major billboards and some magazines and stuff. I was kind of a celebrity, which was really fun.
Well, it is fun, of course.
But it was all a way to actually pay for med school and get through to where I am now. And I never thought about it as a true career. It was just a way to get to residency. I got to residency, married my husband, did fellowship. Now I work as a physician, and it's all really great, but I was really, really bored. And I wish that I was one of those people where I could be fulfilled with some of the things that we do. But I have a problem, and it's onward and upward. Excelsior. I must do more. I must do more. And I like challenge. And so one day during COVID, I was at a restaurant with some of my friends who had friends coming, and they were directors and writers. And they said, these days you can make anything because Netflix just needs content. And I said, all right, I heard you. And I got out of the lunch and I called my husband. I said, by the way, I just want you to know I'm going to write a script and then I'm going to take it to Hollywood and I'm going to sell it and you'll have to support me. And he said, all right, well, why don't you start learning how to write first? I said, yep, I got you. And I did a lot of the hard work from there and did a lot of the hustling and ultimately have been truly very successful for the amount of time and effort I've been able to pull from my other lives to make this a priority. And I can't have asked for more than what I'm doing.
Well, I mean, I'm a big fan of your husband.
Me too.
You know, one thing that I really admire that, you know, how supportive he is.
Yeah.
The kind of support that you get, emotional support that you get, I think it makes you stronger to continue to do what you're doing. So that is.
I had to push for that, Dr. Ali, certainly. Initially, you start with a little bit of no, and then develop some tolerance, and then support.
I think you muscled your way into some of those things.
I did a little bit, you know.
But you know, every time I talk to him, he's just proud of what you do.
Yeah, and I appreciate that very much about him. It's not something common in our culture.
It's not. When you're going, you know, when you have different narratives at different facets of the cultures that we land in, there are certain expectations of you. And if you diverge from that, then you know, people start to you know, point fingers, and you have to be really brave to continue to do what you are doing. Now, this process, has it changed you in any ways? Has it? Do you find yourself having a higher tolerance, maybe more brave than you used to be, maybe more afraid at times? How has it affected this whole process? How has it affected you as a person, good and bad?
There are, of course, always aspects of this that are difficult. Some of those are learning what people really think of you, which most of us are very protected from, really knowing that reality. But when money is on the line or that kind of thing, is people have to tell you how they truly feel.
Right.
And so sometimes you learn something about people and you're like, oh, I didn't know that our community was like that, or I didn't even realize. It can be shocking. Partly a betrayal sometimes that you feel that way. But in that process too, you learn what that really means. And I think even there, you have to look at people and try and understand their perspective and where they're coming from. And I think if you can do that, you can maintain that relationship, which can be really, really important. I think not burning bridges is a very, very important lesson to learn. You don't know when they will need you. They don't know when you will need them. And if you can remember that just a no doesn't mean anything necessarily against you as a person. I think I am getting over my imposter syndrome some.
Good.
And saying to myself, oh, I think I do belong in this room and that room, and actually some of those other rooms that I haven't been in yet. You know,
I love your energy. I just love your energy.
And it sometimes can be hard to get over that. I'll tell you a funny thing, Dr. Ali. When I was coming here, I was telling him, he was like, you know, one of my concerns is because I live in what I call a multichotomy, right? We're not even dichotomous, actually. We have so many different aspects of ourselves. And sometimes I put one foot here and one foot there. And after some time, it was becoming a real problem. Am I a filmmaker or am I a physician? And I do both of them actually a lot of my time.
You do?
Which one is a priority? How can I make this? What about my children? Am I going to just, how can I make this? And I realized at some point that I cannot continue to have my feet in several boats. It's not going to work. That I must figure out how to make this person a whole person. And all of these aspects of me are part, and it's important to do that. That being said, we still have to divide sometimes. For example, I was telling my husband, you know, what am I going to do? Like, Dr. Ali knows me as a doctor, and I'm going to go over there and I'm going to talk to him about being a filmmaker. It might be a little weird, you know?
Yeah, it would be more weird if I asked you to talk about colonoscopies. So that would have been more weird.
Well,
This is a much better discussion. I would rather have
yeah,
with you.
absolutely. But we have to sometimes, that it's a comfort
Yeah,
zone.
yeah,
I have always been someone who loves
yeah,
to do the thing that makes me anxious.
yeah,
I find that really challenging. If something makes me anxious, if I thought about something, I have to do it.
yeah,
I must.
yeah,
And I really enjoy that part of life, keeping it scary,
yeah,
but also learning how to manage all of that excitement, but the safety of my real home and my family and my children. And I think that's probably the biggest struggle, is figuring out how to continue to do both.
and I completely understand that. I think that you find balance with time, and talking about time, how you manage your time. I think that also defines how you manage everything else.
Yeah.
And sometimes people want to do different things, but they don't understand how to manage their time. And I think that just becomes a challenge. Well, Nyla, I feel honored that you came here and talked about your journey. That is an uncommon journey, but going towards some greater things. Before we close this podcast, any final words from you?
I want to go back to your book, if you don't mind. Okay.
Sure.
You made the reference at the beginning and at the end about how this is really a message in a bottle.
Uh-huh.
And if somebody can get that message in a bottle, then it's of value. And how you never know, though, if anybody will ever get the message.
Yeah.
And I think that there's so many things in life that we do that are similar to that. And I think that for me, this is also part of that journey.
Yeah.
And I hope that somebody hears this and says, oh, actually, I like what she's doing. And I think maybe I might do 1% of what she's doing. I might try and tell a story. And if that happens, then success.
Nyla, you're an inspiration. Thank you so much we appreciate you coming to my podcast. Hopefully we'll get you back here again.
It's been my pleasure and honor. Thank you.
Thank you so much.